Hey, it is Gary Carpenter with MREA, and I wanted to jump on today to cover what I like to call the time. Well, actually, I don't like to call it. It's actually called the time management grid, which is actually it's called the Covey time management grid, which it's from Stephen Covey. It's an effective method of organizing your priorities. It differentiates between activities that are important and those that are urgent. Important activities have an outcome that leads to the achievement of your goals, whether they're business goals or personal goals or health goals or whatever they may be. So the time management grid essentially is when you look at this, let's see if I've got this right. So basically it's a grid, and you've got the I stands for important, and then you got non-important activities, and then you got urgent activities, and then you got non-urgent activities. So when you look at this and you say, all right, so what items are in quadrant one, which are immediate and important? So I always like to use the example in real estate is when you look at prospecting, because that is one activity that is usually, unless an agent is not doing it, meaning that they're not busy with their family or they're not busy, working a deal, whether it's staying or, showing houses and stuff like that, they don't necessarily consider prospecting an important activity. Although when you ask them if it's important, they say, well, absolutely it is. But for the most part, it doesn't find its way into most real estate agents' activities on their schedule. So I always look at, when does prospecting become important? When does it become urgent, right? So if it's important, it should be one of those daily activities that you do on a daily basis. If it's urgent, right, all of a sudden it becomes urgent is typically when you're broke, right? So if you look at your personal life and you say, all right, so in your personal life, I talk about date night. Is date night important? Yes, obviously it's important. When does date night become urgent? It becomes urgent when it's no longer important, and then you start having struggles within your personal life because you're not making it important. Typically, you can see what's important to any individual by looking at their schedule. The things that are important to them in their personal life, it's going to be in their schedule. If they have things that are important to grow their business, it's going to be in their schedule. For the most part, if it's not in their schedule, then it's essentially not important. So a lot of people may say it's important, but it typically is not important if it's not in the schedule. I'm going to believe the schedule every time, not necessarily the person. So then you look at quadrant number two, which essentially is long-term. So a long-term is something that's important, but it's also urgent. Right? So something that needs to get accomplished. So the example that I use here is an agent's database, right? I can't tell you how many real estate agents that I work with that don't have a functioning database. And when I say functioning database, I mean a database where they have all of the individuals that are important to them in their database, past clients, family, close friends, whatever the case may be. It's your database that you're also then marketing to, right? So you got everything. That you got the address so you can mail them, you got the email address so you can email them, you got a phone number so that you can call them, and then you also know when their birthday is, because birthday is the most special day of the year for everybody. But you have that information. And in order to put something like this together, because you've got your transactions that you're working at the same time, you got your lead generation that's going on, and any real estate agent that is busy, meaning doing maybe 2 or 3 transactions a year, it's almost impossible to get the long-term projects done unless they're done in bite-sized pieces. So a database in itself, the only way it's going to get done for a real estate agent is through accountability. So from that portion of it, you need to break that into bite-sized steps so that way that makes it into your schedule on a weekly basis. Then you have quadrant number 3, which essentially is, things that are time pressured distractions, which are typically somebody else. This could be kids. This could be, you need to take them someplace. It could be a spouse. It could be a needy family member. It could be a needy friend, whatever it is. But typically it's important, not necessarily you, but to the other person. And it's typically a non-urgent thing for you. And a lot of times these items, when it comes to business, can be delegated out. You can hire somebody to do these things. So then you have the last quadrant, quadrant number 4, which essentially is, what just happened here? Hold on just a second. Quadrant number 4, there it is, which has no value because it's non-urgent and it's non-important. So those things should make their way out of your schedule as time goes on. So that's pretty much it. If you have any additional questions, please just make any comments down below. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have with the time management grid. Thanks a lot.